I don't know how to tell you this, but your manifestation doesn't care about time at all. So yes, that means your manifestation can show up this month, it can show up this week, it can show up today. It's entirely up to you and your own assumptions. And we know this to be true because there's actually a quote in A Course in Miracles that states this: eternity is of the spirit and time is of the ego. Meaning who you feel you are in this current moment. So your name at this point in time, your ego is the only thing that can actually experience time. But that makes sense because we feel as if we are someone and we have to transition into something else. And time is a learning device that then allows us to make that happen. But instead, eternity is of the spirit. If you were to understand what Neville Goddard would call your I amness, if you were to get into that state, you would understand you already have everything. There is no amount of time that we actually have to wait. It's actually just the assumption, or more specifically, the story that we are telling ourselves and our reality as to how difficult or how easy it is, and our entire reality is going to give us that unconditionally. Your reality, your universe, your subconscious, your higher self, your God state, however you want to call it, does not care what you assume. It responds unconditionally. It doesn't have any sort of intention or desire because technically in that state, it has absolutely everything. And so if you can think about the fact that you are drawing on unlimited power, on a state version of yourself that has absolutely everything at any given time and is literally everything, if we can think about that, then we can start to understand time does not matter. Again, it is just the story we tell ourselves. And so let's say we're thinking it's going to take 3 months in order to be with our specific person. If that's our assumption, everything we do, all of the state activity, thoughts, and beliefs that we actually align with our state because that's who we feel we are, is going to cause it to take 3 months. But at the same time, if we challenge that, if we become someone differently entirely, meaning we embody a new state, that's when we see a difference happen around us. Because sometimes when we're in the state of being someone who thinks it takes 3 months, when we ask or contemplate about it taking a week, from that state, it can feel like it is a long time, or it can feel like it's very difficult. That would be a better word for it. Sometimes, obviously, from that state, it is going to feel that way because we're in the state where we feel like it's going to take 3 months. And so for it to take a week is going to challenge our mind. And that's when you hear people say, that's impossible, that can't be done, there's no way that that can happen. But in essence, it's really just a state problem because everyone has that limit based on who they feel they are as to what seems too good to be true, right? Some people might say it's going to take 10 years to manifest a specific person. Others will say 5. Others will say 1. Others will say 3 months. Others will say 1 month, 1 day, 1 hour, 1 minute, right? Each person will have a difference in their assumptions of what they believe to be impossible. And so we know then, if everyone is saying something different on the essence of possibility, then we know all of those have to be incorrect and there has to be one universal law. And the only coinciding factor that everyone does, or that encompasses absolutely everyone's thoughts on impossibility, is instantaneous manifestation. Because if this were the case, if it had to take any amount of time, the idea that we would change our state and immediately manifest something would be literally impossible. That would not be something that could happen. But you've seen in not only my stories or other success stories that I've shown on this channel, I bet you've experienced instantaneous successes. So if that's the quickest and timeless amount of distance from you to your manifestation, then that has to be the universal distance for everyone. Basically meaning there is no distance. There is no separation in time. You already have everything that you could ever want. And a really good metaphor I always like to think about when I'm thinking about choosing my amount of time, because yes, In a very real sense, you are choosing the amount of time it takes you to get to your manifestation. Whether it's your specific person, whether it's literally any manifestation, you are choosing it based on who you feel you are. But a really good example is to imagine you have two divine ovens in front of you, and they are basically created to cook a dish perfectly every single time. Now, God in the infinite creation does not care what number or what time you put on this oven, because it can spit out this dish perfectly the same regardless of if it's 1 minute or 10,000 minutes. And so let's say we do that. We put 1 minute on one oven and we put 10,000 minutes on the other oven. In 1 minute, the dish comes out perfectly, exactly as we wanted. We eat it, we enjoy it, and we're still waiting 9,999 minutes for the other oven to complete, which after a long time, after being really bored, after going and just reading a book or something, I don't know, you come to find this other oven producing the same exact dish that you had from the 1 minute oven. There is exactly no difference. When we think about our manifestation in that way, that is very telling and very true of our reality, because time is not a factor. How come it has to take a certain amount of time? If we were to say that, it would mean that we are thinking the bridge of events has to happen in a specific way, but it absolutely doesn't. The bridge of events is going to occur just in a way that seems logical, and you've heard me say that before. You've heard Neville Goddard say that before. But logic is very personal and is not universally accepted in any situation, given that every single person is going to give you a different amount of time that it takes to manifest our specific person. And so if we can think about that, and think about the fact that each person is actually just putting a different timer on their manifestation, which isn't true, because we've seen someone cook the same exact dish in the oven, putting 1 second on the timer. Then we know whatever time we think it takes, whatever amount of time we want to wait, it could actually be just to our own ego and our assumption, meaning we could actually enjoy waiting that amount of time. Meaning if you feel like you have to wait for something that is of perceived value, that's perfectly fine. But remember, you don't have to do it in that way. But if we can think about this connection between the ovens, everything is going to make so much sense. And a couple things you can do in order to get into this state is, I want you to catch yourself every time you think about how long it's taking. I want you to take out a timer. I want you to take out your phone and set 1 minute on the timer and say to yourself, time is irrelevant, my dish is already done. And for that minute, I just want you to act and feel as if you already have what you want, that it's already done. That imagine you knocked off the timer, or you canceled the timer that was 10,000 minutes and you put 1 minute on the timer. How would that feel? How would that feel if this 1 minute was that timer that you placed on your manifestation? What would you think? What would you believe? What would you feel? What would you be in an expectancy of? That's exactly what I want you to think. As well as this, to flip time on its head, basically, we want to create what I would refer to as a reverse countdown. So instead of counting down the days until our manifestation, I want you to count the amount of feelings or states or successes that are actually amplifying your state in reducing the time. Because the more we feel as the individual that already has what we want, the smaller and lower this timer actually gets. Because the perceived distance from where you are to where you want to go is basically eliminated. So I want you to not count down the days. I want you to count up the states and successes that are leading you to that feeling and to that state. So throughout the day, count up. Right? Say, this happened and that made me feel as if I already have it. Oh my God, this person complimented me. Oh my gosh, my friend I was thinking about texted me out of the blue. That's crazy. All of these are things that are counting up, getting you into the state, amplifying your assumption and amplifying your belief, making your timer go down to 0. And as always, I want to give an example of this happening, in which how we can transition and change our state very drastically. So here's someone who I was working with, who we scheduled a call to meet, and we had to instantaneously reschedule it because their specific person reached out to them asking to take them out for their birthday. And normally successes are actually only as powerful as the negative worry or intentions or thoughts were beforehand, because that's exactly what this individual was doing. They were worried about no contact. They were worried, I believe they hadn't seen their specific person in a couple weeks up until this point. And so with this thought process, you can see how actually sometimes a birthday can be that thing that pushes our mind into a state of assumption, collapsing time, because time had nothing to do with this manifestation. And actually, I would say the difference is so spectacular because we even planned to meet up for a call in that time. So their assumptions were actually different, right, if you will. But remember, when we have the assumption of already being with our specific person, when we start to understand time has nothing to do with our manifestation, because that's exactly what we talked about, when we understand that, time collapses, because remember that original quote, eternity is of the spirit and time is of the ego. And if this person could go from not seeing their specific person for weeks, scheduling a call, and within a couple days needing to reschedule the call because they're meeting up with their specific person, if they can do that, then you can do the same exact thing or even better. Because even a few days to your higher self is just an ego identity, right? They felt as the person who is with their specific person in a couple days. That's what occurred, right? And as they became that person, their reality had to automatically reflect it, and that's exactly what they saw. And if you want to set this timer in stone, set the amount of time you believe your manifestation is going to take, or what you would want it to take, and what your identity of what you think your reality should reflect for you is going to show up as. Meaning, how long do you want your specific person manifestation to take? Is it 1 minute? Is it 1 hour? Is it 30 minutes? Is it 1 week? Is it a month? Is it a couple seconds? Is it instantaneously? It can be anything you want, because sometimes maybe we want it to be a month, right? Maybe you're about to move into a place and you want to spend it with your specific person or something to that nature. It's all up to you and your desire, but know that you are absolutely picking it. And there's nothing wrong if you want to pick a couple months or a couple weeks or a couple seconds. All are the exact same in the mind of your higher self. As well as this, comment any questions that you had down below about anything that we talked about, or any questions you might have on manifestation. I'd love to answer them. As well as this, if you do want to reach out to me or post a question that you do want to post publicly, make sure to reach out to me at kyleaugustcoaching.com. And after you write that time, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video to really cement that, because that does help me out a lot. And then don't forget to subscribe. So huge shout out to the subscribers. Huge shout out to all of my members. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you in my next video tomorrow.